So here in this video, we're going to show you how to change the elevation of an object when it's not the same as the rest of the objects. So you can see here we have a line, and if we take a look at this, you'll see that there's probably a couple of other lines like that one, those over there, that also have elevations on them, and we need to kind of really flatten them. So if it's a line can have an elevation at either end. A polyline, however, can each vertex, it has to be a 3D polyline for each vertex to have a different elevation. So even a polyline would be a single elevation all the way through, right? Especially when you have arcs in it, because you can't have a true arc in a CAD in the CAD program, whether it's this CAD viewer or any other CAD program, unless it's a special line type like a line string in Trimble Business Center or a feature line in Civil 3D. But in AutoCAD or CAD viewer or Carlson or any of the other CAD applications, arcs aren't true arcs if they have different elevations on either end because of the way the geometry is created. So if we take a look at this line and we go over to the properties panel and we bring that down a little bit and we scroll down, right? We bring it down. There's a geometry section where it shows the coordinates of um, each point or endpoint of that line. So you'll notice that the elevation does show 0. So if we look at this polyline instead, so if I hit escape to deselect, pick the polyline, and we scroll down and look at the geometry, you'll see that it has a single elevation, right? It has a starting point, and you'll notice that these are all the nodes, right? So even at point 18, it has a negative 17.81. So it's really not the line that's incorrect, it's the polyline that's incorrect. So if I come in here and we make this, we backspace that out and make that 0, now it's elevated up to that particular point. So probably the same thing with this one. So if we hit escape and we take a look, that's it. Same thing, it's at negative 17. So we'll put 0 here, and then we'll have to do that for the rest of these. So we have to do them. We might be able to do them all if we select them, if they're all the same object. So if we pick and do a window selection, I'll hit escape here. So let's do a window selection on the objects and look at them. No entity selected. So let's see. Let's go back to top and we'll select them this way. Go over, we got all general. Now let's pick all the polylines. So if we pick all the polylines and we scroll down, we can set the geometry. You can see that it varies on some of these. So it doesn't look like that's the thickness. This is the Z. So it says varies on that. So let's change that to 0. All right. So now they're all flattened. If we go back over here and pick all the arcs should be at 0, we hope. All right. So if we come down, yeah, there's some start and end points on the Z value. So we want to come in here and make those. We may have to pick them individually, but let's make that 0. And let's do lines. And then on the lines, again, we're just trying to globally edit these. We want to change the Z values. All right, so we'll make that 0. Let's do that again, pick line. And then so that's the start Z, and we want the end Z. All right, you don't want to change the coordinates, we just want to change the Z value. So now let's take a look at what we got. So if we go into orbit, and I rotate it up, looks like they're all zeros, right? So they're all zeroed out. So now I can just go back to top, and we can do the PEDIT again. Oops, so let's get that. So PEDIT. We'll do multiple. We'll just pick all the lines. Round 16. We want to convert them, yes. And then we want to join them. And let's leave that the way it was. So now when we pick on these, get out of the command, now you'll see These are joined. We still got some gaps here, so we got to go maybe look at those. Maybe there's a gap that got joined, so there's probably a gap that we got to look at down here, and edit that one as well. But using a combination of those tools, you can see that we can edit these objects and join them together. I can see there's a gap there. Let me go back to top, and let's do this. Oops. Let's go back to constrained orbit. We'll rotate this up, and then let's go zoom in. Yeah, so we can see here, this line here, there's something incorrect with this line, that it's not giving us the right information. So it's got a 9.5 foot radius, but notice that it's off on its elevation. So we need to probably just redraw that line and add it into here, because it's a, I won't call it a bug, but I know from looking at this in a different CAD program, it's called it's not correct in the UCS. So it's, the object itself is like twisted, and there's really no way to fix it except redrawing it at this time. But everything else, like this other one over here, we look, that one wasn't joined because looks like there might be some gap in here. So one way to fix that is to just move it and then snap it back, but we'll do that in the top view. So let's go back into here. Let's take this and just move it off of there, and then we can move it and snap it back, and then we can try using the join. We use the join command. Select the base entity here, and then pick this one, and maybe that will join. Yep, so that one joined together that way. So we'll probably do the same thing up here. So there's just a little bit of a space between the two. So again, we'll pick the join command, pick that one, and you can see 2 segments were added. All right, so now we're adding, then we would just have to do this one up here. So again, this is just more of a, sometimes the gap tolerance may be just like a 0.001. So if we change that gap tolerance when we're doing this, it probably would have done it for us. So we'll just hit enter to redo the join command, pick those 2 objects, and now it's one complete object. So a little bit of editing. This arc here, we can try this, maybe just moving that arc and then snapping it back to that endpoint, and let's see if that works for us. So we do the same thing there. We'll do J for join, press that. Nope, that one didn't join. So let's take a look at that again. Even though I snapped it, it still has there's still something that is keeping it from being joined. So yeah, you can see, so this end down here has it has a bad elevation on it. So let's try this, picking this line and looking at its geometries. So it's got both 0. So let's take that, we'll move that off, and then we'll move it back and snap it to that endpoint there. Yeah, no, and I know this because I know this arc is kind of really messed up. So what I'm going to do is just go back to top, and you just draw this in using the arc command, where we'll draw an arc from this point, to this point with a 9.5 foot radius. So I'm just going to delete that line, and I'm going to set this layer current. So we'll activate this curve layer, and then we'll use the arc command, where I will start at the endpoint here, and we're going to do, actually, let's let's go back and do, yeah, we'll do start point here. And we don't want to go through a point, but we want to go E for end. We're going to pick this as the end point. And then the center point or radius, we're going to pick R for radius, is going to be 9.5. So now we've got that arc in there. And now what we can do is do the PEDIT. We'll specify the join option. And then we will select all these objects here. There's a crossing window. And then that should join that. So now we've got them all joined. So that's how you kind of use the join command with the editing the properties of the geometry and get everything so that it's all individual line segments that we can go and send and stake out.